As dark storms gathered above the ancient palaces of Goryeo, the kingdom began to rot from within. Villages burned beneath skies filled with smoke and ash, while helpless citizens wandered through muddy streets with hunger in their eyes and no hope left in their hearts. Yet behind the palace walls, corrupt nobles laughed loudly during endless feasts, blind to the suffering beyond their golden halls. The people prayed for salvation, but in a land consumed by greed, peace had already died. The Mongolians invade them, killing their soldiers, children, adults, and steal their belongings. And from the shadows of this collapsing kingdom, 6 lives would rise to change history forever. While the kingdom descended into chaos, one man searched for answers in silence. Night after night, Han Jisuk studied ancient scrolls beneath fading candlelight, believing wisdom could still save a broken nation. In secret, he gathered trusted scholars far from the eyes of the royal court, whispering of justice, reform, and a future free from corruption. But beyond those hidden meetings, reality was impossible to ignore. Jisuk walked among starving peasants who suffered without protest, their eyes empty from years of pain and fear. And with every cry he could not answer, his dream of building a fair kingdom grew stronger. As the sun rose over the suffering kingdom, Han Jisuk swore that one day, the people would no longer live in fear. Han Yujin was raised not by peace, but by war. He trained relentlessly beside hardened soldiers, believing strength was the only way to protect a collapsing kingdom. Through storms and bloodshed, his sword flashed beneath the pouring rain as he fought enemies without fear or hesitation. And when chaos threatened the land, Yujin led his warriors into deadly battles, willing to sacrifice everything for the future he believed he could create. But with every victory, the line between protector and conqueror began to disappear. While nobles ruled through fear, one shadow fought for the forgotten. By night, Yunbai moved silently across palace rooftops, a masked swordswoman feared by the corrupt and trusted by the helpless. She secretly rescued innocent villagers from cruel soldiers and vanished, before anyone could learn her name. But in the kingdom's darkest alleys, mercy disappeared. One by one, corrupt officials fell beneath her blade, their power unable to protect them from the justice hiding in the shadows. In a kingdom ruled by secrets, survival belonged to the clever. Mo Seol moved silently through the royal court, whispering into the ears of nobles while hiding his true intentions behind a calm smile. By night, secret messages passed through hidden hands as spies and rebels unknowingly danced within his web of manipulation. To some, he was an ally. To others, a traitor. But while the kingdom descended into chaos, Mo Seol watched from the shadows, knowing that in war, information could be more dangerous than any sword. As the kingdom sank deeper into corruption, 6 strangers from different paths were drawn together by a single purpose, within abandoned temples and hidden chambers. They formed a secret alliance powerful enough to shake the throne itself. In secret underground shelters, rebels gathered not for glory, but for freedom. Every sword sharpened, every oath sworn, and every flame burning in the darkness carried the hope of overthrowing a corrupt dynasty. For the first time, the powerless were no longer afraid. The revolution had begun. As whispers of rebellion spread, across the kingdom the people began to gather. Peasants, soldiers, and forgotten citizens filled the village square, their hearts heavy from years of suffering beneath a corrupt throne. Standing before them, Yunbai, the masked swordswoman, who had become a symbol of hope among the helpless and fear among the corrupt nobles, raised her hand high into the air, calling upon the people to fight for their freedom and reclaim their future. Beside her stood Han Yujin, the fearless warrior who constantly trained his soldiers and protect the kingdom from the Mongolians, and as rebel banners danced against the wind. The voices of the people rose together, like thunder, marking the beginning of a revolution that would change the kingdom forever. Through the cold morning fog, the 6 allies walked toward the capital with only one goal: to change the fate of the kingdom forever. The rebellion could no longer be stopped. Across the kingdom, battlefields erupted in fire and blood as rebel forces clashed against the royal army. Flaming arrows tore through the night sky while the sounds of swords and war drums echoed across the land. At the front of the revolution, Han Yujin led fearless warriors into deadly combat, determined to bring down the corrupt dynasty no matter the cost. And for the first time, the people no longer stood behind the war. They became part of it. Farmers, villagers, and forgotten citizens rose beside the rebels, fighting not for power, but for the hope of a new kingdom. As victory drew closer, the alliance slowly began to fracture. Inside the rebel camp, Han Jisuk and Han Yujin clashed over the future of the kingdom, one fighting for justice, the other believing fear and absolute power were the only paths to peace. Beyond the battlefield, Yunbai watched innocent citizens suffer and die in the chaos of war, forcing her to question whether the rebellion had become the very evil it once opposed. And hidden within the shadows, Mo Seol listened silently as distrust spread among the allies, knowing that even revolutions could be destroyed from within. But every revolution demands a terrible price. As the kingdom burned, betrayal struck from within the alliance, shattering the trust that once held the rebels together. One ally vanished into exile, disappearing beyond the frozen mountains with nothing left but regret and sorrow. Another gave their life protecting the dream they had all fought to create. And on a battlefield stained with rain and blood, Yunbai could do nothing but hold a dying friend in her arms as the cost of their rebellion finally became impossible to ignore.